Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time out to attend today's webinar on the business case of Wawa and their SAP car journey. My name is Angela Sorbino. I will be your host for this webinar this afternoon. I would like to welcome our speakers and panelists today, starting with Prasad, who is our principal consultant here at GroupSoft. We also have with us Mr. Arjun Dev Singh, the CEO of GroupSoft. And in case some of you are not already aware, GroupSoft is a global consulting firm focused on the retail and fashion industry. Lastly, a very warm welcome to our guest speaker, Linda, who is the Manager of Application Services at Wawa. Before we get started this afternoon, I have just one housekeeping item to cover. If you do have any questions during today's presentation, please go ahead and share them with us in the Q&A box below. We have saved some time at the end of the webinar today to go ahead and answer those questions live, so please keep your queries ready. We will try to address as many questions as possible during the webinar today. However, if we are unable to answer your questions live, please expect a response via email along with today's recording. Thank you again for joining us, and I will hand it over to Linda to share some insight into Wawa's business history. Now, unfortunately, it seems that Linda's clip was not recorded in the beginning, so I will give everyone just a nice overview into what she had presented before she takes back over in the live webinar today. So she was mentioning that if anyone is joining us outside of the East Coast, she kind of gives a nice overview into who Wawa is. So Wawa is a multi-billion-dollar company. They are privately owned, and they were established in 1803 as an iron foundry by George Wood. He had bought up a bunch of land and started a dairy farm. And for quite a while, Wawa sold and delivered milk products. In 1964, home milk delivery started to decline, and so in true Wawa fashion, we opened our first Wawa food market. Today, Wawa has over 985 convenience stores operating in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and Florida. And they will actually be expanding into 6 more states in the near future. If you're interested, they'll be coming to Alabama, North Carolina, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So you'll be seeing Wawas popping up near you if you're in one of those states. Linda was actually joining us from near their headquarters in the Philadelphia suburb of Wawa, Pennsylvania. Each year, Wawa serves over 500 million customers. She had gone on to mention that they are known for their signature high-quality Wawa brands. They offer fresh food services such as their build-to-order Wawa hoagies, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with. I know I'm a big fan, especially of their coffee as well. Their freshly brewed Wawa coffee. They have their branded Sizzlies, which are hot breakfast sandwiches. They offer wraps, bakery products, fresh produce, and of course, Wawa's dairy and beverage products as well. They also offer a large variety of packaged beverages and snack items. Their stores are open 365 days a year and operate on extended hours, with a majority open 24 hours a day. And now I will hand it back to our live, previously recorded session where Linda takes over to explain a little bit more about their gasoline offerings as well.
We compete in the fast food restaurant area, convenience, and we also have a fuel offering. Our convenience stores, many of them that are the larger footprint, also have a gasoline offering there. So I would say, due to our we've got great products, we've got a great marketing department, and we, as a convenience store, we achieve customer traffic levels and transaction sizes that are really significantly higher than you would see in the convenience store industry. And of course, all of these sales transactions have to come into our SAP car system. So we'll be hearing more about that. Turn it back to you, Arjun.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's just a pleasure talking to you. But 1803, if I heard you right, wow, that's over 200 years, but 220 years, phenomenal.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I'm guilty, like probably most of the people in the state, that, you know what, we've all gone to Wawa, we love the coffee, we love the food, we love the convenience. It's just phenomenal. For everyone's convenience, I'll just take a minute and introduce GroupSoft also. So GroupSoft is a boutique consulting company specializing in SAP. We do end-to-end implementations. Started in 2003 in India, came down to the US, started here in 2009. We are headquartered in Princeton in New Jersey with offices in Toronto and India. We specialize in retail and fashion. As a result, we've got over 110 plus clients wherein we have a footprint geographically all across the globe, and we are a 500 plus staff team. Linda, let me ask you a quick question here. What prompted Wawa to move from POS-DM to POS-DTA?
Well, I would say the easy answer to that question is because SAP was sunsetting POS-DM at the end of 2021. So we did know that we were going to have to move off of that or else face paying those extended maintenance fees, which of course we did not want to do. We had been learning quite a bit about CAR, however, and foresaw a use case where we would want CAR in our overall SAP landscape. So we decided to move forward with POS-DTA as the first step in our CAR implementation journey.
Perfect, thank you. And Linda, let me ask, why did we proceed and choose GroupSoft?
GroupSoft was actually introduced to us by our SAP account executive. He had worked with GroupSoft at another client and had been kind of singing their praises to me about how good they were and the good quality people that are part of their organization. This was really back in 2020, so we were not, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and we were definitely not, or the beginning of the pandemic, I should say, and we were definitely not in a position where we were starting anything with our CAR journey. However, we did have some other things that were happening where I needed an SAP MM functional specialist. So I took that opportunity to reach out and meet Arjun and meet the folks at GroupSoft. They gave us some, you guys gave us a great candidates, and we brought one of them on, and actually he is still here with us. He's wonderful. Over the next, I'd say, year and a half, I guess, we had a few other projects and opportunities. We brought on some more GroupSoft consultants. So by the time we were ready to start our journey, we really already were working with GroupSoft, and they were trusted partners. At that point, I reached, we talked through. GroupSoft gave us great advice about what would need to be included in the overall project. What would it take to not only get POS-DTA up and running, but also position ourselves well with the inventory views and the other modules within CAR. So that we worked together, figured out that, got the SOW together, and the rest is history. As you'll hear over the course of the session, we really did have a great experience working with GroupSoft. Our project came in on time, on budget. It was a very smooth deployment, and really our POS-DTA system has been completely stable going forward. So we've enjoyed it all, Arjun.
Well, thank you. I mean, we enjoyed it too, and that's music to to everyone's ears when you know that it's a successful project within time and budget. Nothing can be better. So, no, thank you. It was just wonderful working with yourself. Wawa was just phenomenal there, Linda. Prasad, let me ask you, what was GroupSoft's responsibility in this implementation?
Yeah, hey Ajit. Yeah, first of all, thanks Angela for organizing this, and thanks for having us here. And I'm very happy to be part of this conversation with you, Linda and Arjun, and also thanks Wawa for this wonderful opportunity for us, and of course Linda again for your emerging leadership and your constant support during the entire phase of the project. Was a great experience to us. And yes, as we were chosen as the implementation partner and delivery partner for this assignment, and our responsibility was right from project planning and conducting workshops with the Wawa business teams. And then we prepared our business blueprints, and then we carried out the development and testing phases. That's when we decided that the testing feedback was good enough and the Wawa business was happy to go ahead. That's when we cut over and went live in early of 2022 for a smooth execution of that. And then we also supported Wawa during the store rollout, including the hypercare. And we also provided an extended support for them for a brief period of time.
Perfect. And Prasad, thanks for the overview. What was the team composition here?
I would take a moment again to thank the whole teams involved, including Wawa business teams and IT teams, and of course the groups of teams. It's a pandemic time and everybody was remote and it was really hard to catch up people, but still the teams all pulled up them together and they brilliantly executed this project. Now, as far as the breakup of the teams are concerned, of course, it's involved our business teams. Just to name a few, we have sales audit team, finance team, inventory and F&R teams. And then we also involved the store ops and the fuel team, and of course, the Wawa IT teams across the technologies. And as far as groups of teams are concerned, the SMEs from CAR that are spread across North America, Canada, and India. And the team's composition is right from PMO who run the entire proceedings for the project. And then we have our car solution architect who took care of the whole car solution. And then we have our car and ERP functional teams spread across, including the technical teams, and a dedicated testing team who helped to carry out the testing phase along with the business teams for us.
So I know, Prasad, I heard that from yourself and Linda that this happened during COVID.
Right.
Implementation. So what was GroupSoft's approach towards the implementation and of course Wawa's, and how did that work?
Right from the beginning, our approach from GroupSoft was very simple and straightforward. As an implementation partner, our goal was to build a solution that was stable and meant for Wawa's business continuity, and thereby also give them some scalability for innovation for many more years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to highlight that since this is a past GM to past GTA conversation, it's comfortable to say that, hey, it's just an upgrade project. But however, we all collectively decided to give Wawa business and IT teams an opportunity to look at the future state as a whole, such that the car solution is scalable and thereby also eliminate any obsolete processes they have built over the years. In a way, I call it as a greenfield implementation rather than a simple migration project. And at the beginning of the project, we also took an oath, I would say Wawa's policy of not to do any custom development, like not, I would not say not, but minimize the custom development, but keep this standard as much as possible. And we tried our best to keep the things to the standard as much as possible. And as far as the delivery of the project deliverables are concerned, like the code or the testing templates, we kind of followed a waterfall and an agile approach during the realization and testing phases. Linda, do you want to add something about the parallel testing experience?
Yeah, I think specifically around the parallel testing experience, that was a really great approach for us. What we ended up doing, taking and running through all our production in both systems, and then spending the time with the help of GroupSoft's testing team to validate, that things matched, even though logic, was some logic that we had that was custom, that had changed, right. And that we were still seeing the proper accounting and proper flow of the sales throughout all of the systems. And I think that approach really gave of course, the IT teams, but even more important, gave our business teams confidence so that when we were ready to, turn it on over and turn it on as live for POS DTA, I think everyone felt really comfortable with the cutover.
Yeah, I think we ran it for a brief period of time. So just I think I remember like we were comparing the sales values, inventory values, and we ran through the business teams again and again to make sure that they're really comfortable before we move to the cutover or go live. I think that was one of the win-win situations we had during the project.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think
So-
overall, the GroupSoft, the whole GroupSoft approach to the project really was quite comprehensive. We right from the very beginning all the way through till cutover, and of course, like any project, lots of unexpected things. So we did adapt to that, and as Prasad said, we really did almost take an oath about trying to stick as much to standard as possible. But of course, it's not always 100% possible.
So in a project like this, Linda, Prasad, I mean, there are lots of learnings. So what were the key lessons that, I mean, you would probably say, hey, we learned lots of lessons, and what were they?
Yes, and that is so true, Arjun. Like any project, there's always things to learn that you can look back on, and then of course there's always things you can look back on and celebrate as a really, hey, that was smart of us to do that. So I do want to, first and foremost say that I think a big thing that allowed for good outcomes is that our business teams, our IT teams, and the GroupSoft team really worked well together. So that, I think that's vitally important to any project. And like we have mentioned a few times, but I think looking back, it is pretty amazing how well we were able to work together, given that I think we were almost 6 months into the project before we saw each other face to face and met in person in 3 dimensions, as I like to say. So that really was a great thing that went well, and that we definitely can celebrate. It's certainly that parallel testing, but I think really the whole overall testing effort with the way that we handled SIT, that you guys handled SIT with us and UAT before we rolled into that parallel. That was a great win. And also our rollout of sort of a staggered store rollout. On the lessons learned side, and especially on the Wawa side, I would say recognizing the importance of a robust testing environment with up-to-date data. I think we underestimated the amount of work it would take to get the data in our testing environments cleaned up each day, especially as we tried to validate things, looking at how they were done in production compared to our QA environment. So that was definitely a lesson learned for us to, around our testing environments and making sure that they are planned out upfront.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prasad, from your side, were there any?
Yeah. From a GroupSoft standpoint, I think there are like a couple of points I would like to highlight as well. First and foremost, then the leadership. I think leadership has been exceptional. I think right from you, Linda, and from GroupSoft. I think we need a free hand in some such situations, right? So you gave us that comfortable position that, hey, you can do this to get the best out of the car solution, right? So that's one of the key takeaway for us. And I would like to reiterate the point of collaboration, right? I think all the Wawa and IT teams and the GroupSoft teams, they were like really helping each other across the phase of the project. And especially Wawa was really excited to be part of this SAP car journey. And I also want to highlight about the change management. I think this was one of the projects in my personal experience where change management exceptionally smooth. I mean, like there were no ad hoc changes or there are no unwanted scope items that were like sneaking into the project. So in a way, everybody at Wawa and GroupSoft are very vigilant about the timeliness of the project and of course the scope of the project so that we are not derailing anything. So I think that was a really kudos to everyone to make sure that we are on time on that.
Yeah, I
And
think
of course,
that's great
yes,
points. Mhm.
yes. And of course, last not the least, the overlooked item, the documentation. So of course, we spent a lot of time analyzing the system, but I think I would really thank the whole Wawa and groups of teams because right from the architecture documentation, business blueprints, the test case repository, I think we really have spent a good time there to build a knowledge base for your future references. I think that was one of the key takeaway, I would say.
So, Linda, I know I heard you earlier say that this is your first step in your car journey. So, just further elaborating on that. So, what's the long-term vision for SAP Car at Wawa?
Well, I think for us, for CAR, one of the things when we were making this decision to move forward with POS DTA, in looking at the modules that are provided in CAR around forecasting with UDF and then SAP replenishment planning, sitting on top of that, that is an area that we're very interested in looking into and evaluating for us here at Wawa. I think, you know, some of the other modules, especially around the inventory management, right? So the CAR itself offers a lot of, I call them modules. I don't know if that's exactly the right terminology that SAP uses, but you know, the on-shelf availability, the omni-channel article availability, they all seem very promising and seem that they will be, could potentially help us out as we are, you know, especially as we are expanding. SAP, you know, there's a big move right into BTP. That's a
Yes.
huge offering now within SAP, and definitely directionally, strategically, that's the way they're going. With SAC being part of that, you know, we certainly are evaluating the use of SAC against our card data, you know, for analytics and other things, the inventory views that CAR provides. So I think where we are right now is we're solid, we're stable with the POS DTA, and really now it's just the next steps to evaluate how the different CAR modules will fit into our overall SAP journey.
Lovely, and all the best for that, Linda. Let me come back to you, Prasad.
Yeah.
Were there any key improvements that GroupSoft suggested to Wawa during this journey?
Yeah, I think yes, there are like certain improvements that GroupSoft has definitely proposed to Wawa business, and of course, since Wawa has accustomed to their past gem solution, so there are like no major surprises. But still, they have built a system for like over a period of time. So you have those obsolete processes, or they need time to look into their own system and see, hey, we can improve in this some scenarios, right? But with car coming into the picture, so which gives you a lot of capabilities, as everyone by now know in the retail industry. So one of the key improvements was the trickle feeding of SAP sales data into SAP car. So like many retailers, Wawa 2 has multiple hoops, I would say, before sales from point of sale are posted to the sales audit system. So what we did was we comprehensively spoke to the different teams from the infrastructure and understood what are the places where we can tell them, hey, this is a place where you could potentially look at a reduction of time or reduce the latency time before you put your sales to SAP core. So that was one of the suggestions we had made. I think that was one of the key points for their real-time inventory visibility goal. And I got a little bit technical now. The other thing was the two-step processing. If people in the webinar doesn't have an idea about that two-step processing, so SAP Core, of course, a PassGM has only one one-step processing. As far as SAP Car is concerned, you have both one-step and two-step. And since the posting of sales data to the different satellite systems, or I would say downstream systems, was taking time. So we also kind of proposed to our business about the two-step processing. So what two-step processing does was that it kind of divides the aggregation process and posting of IDOCs to the downstream systems. So in a way, it helps them to get the data more frequently to the downstream systems. And of course, it also helps Wawa to realize their goal of real-time inventory visibility. And that's one of the key improvements we have suggested. And on the housekeeping stuff, like there are like other lot of integrations that are built with their current PassDM system. So we kind of sat to the different teams from the different technologies, and we help them understand that, hey, this interface is not meant to be integrated with the SAP car as such. So we were successful in explaining them about the merits and demerits of it. And then we took those, or the descoped those items from the SAP car solution itself. So to keep the car as much as clean possible. And of course, we reviewed the whole configurations from the PassDM and the custom developments. And we made a significant reduction of those which are obsolete and which may not be needed to keep the system stable and clean. I also want to ask a question to you, Linda. So I know we had this all those points which we made so that the solution is stable. So what are the things you noticed, or like how did this improve your from the previous PassDM system or to the Wawa business team?
Well, I think a few things. So for sure, elimination of that custom code that we had previously had embedded right into our PassDM system, eliminating what was obsolete, and in some cases it wasn't necessarily that it was obsolete, but maybe we wrote something that now PassTTA handle that standard. But having GroupSoft point those things out to us was a huge win. I would say another part of just having CAR at PassTTA and CAR is the master data sync. So
Right.
Having that real-time synchronization from our ECC system into CAR really made a big difference compared to the way we were operating under PassDM, which was more of a batch job to catch up. So having that as real time just really reduced the number of errors that would end up hitting our sales audit team. So that was really great. I think we're really feel positioned well now with how stable things are. And I would say, another thing that really, and those of you that, are responsible for systems, when something's been there for a while and it's been running for a while, in the meantime, you've had, turnover, things like that. You don't really look at this, as long as it's running, you don't look at it too much. So I think it also really gave us a great opportunity to look at exactly what was happening ourselves, just working with you guys on that. So
yeah, I think we also took an opportunity there to look out the whole background job setup. I think like you had like a lot of jobs running, consuming the background job process. I think we did thoroughly reviewed those background job schedules. I think with the help of basis team, we kind of eliminated the unused jobs. And of course, I think we tweaked the scheduling of the job so that the data from SAP car is audited first and then sent to the respective downstream systems as quickly as possible, so that we have the F&R team waiting and the finance team waiting for the data. So I think we did that. That's when also we kind of made a key improvement to have a consolidated and well-positioned background job schedule and easy to maintain. I think as you rightly mentioned about the master data, I think the key improvement I saw was the the reduction of errors. Of course, the inbound errors in the past GM or significantly came down. I think the support team was quite relieved looking at those number of IDOC failures. I think that was definitely, it's a standard solution. Of course, it's not like something which GroupSoft has done, but as a solution that comes with car, but it's still a great relief for the support teams every day, not looking at the red lights or it's all green every time, right?
Exactly.
So that, yeah, those are the key improvements, Arjun, I think we could probably put together.
No, that's lovely. I know that we are kind of crossing the time, but Angela, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so I think now we will open it up to some question and answers. I'll give everyone just a moment to go ahead and share any questions that they may have about the discussion that we've had so far. And I just want to thank, of course, you, Arjun, Prasad, Linda, for sharing your insights so far.
Thank
So
you.
I do have one question that's come through, and Prasad, this is probably a good one for you to answer. Could
Sure.
you tell us a little bit about the different channels that you implemented? Someone is asking.
Okay, sure. I can take that up. I think, yeah, car supports this multi-channel sales visibility now. But at the time of go live for Wawa, we didn't really configure any different channels for them. But however, there was a potential of defining multiple channels for their future use, like they had order channel, payment channels, and fulfillment channels. If you look at Wawa's business, or if you visit their website, you will understand the methods of ordering available. Like, so be it a catering order via website, or in-store purchases in person, or at the register, or kiosk purchases. And they also have third-party delivery partners. And due to the pandemic, they have this curbside pickup coming across all the retailers, right? So they have a potential, and we did give them a roadmap of how they can define these channels within car, so that they have a granulated view of what channel is having the kind of sales information, right? So then with SAP car, you have your multi-channel analytics enabled by default, and you can make use of those models to help build dashboards or analytics around it.
Great. Thanks, Prasad. This one might also be over to you, Prasad, more on the project side. Could you tell us a little bit about what the timeline for the project was? I know Linda, I think, had mentioned things were kept on time. You had mentioned the same thing, but what was the actual time frame?
So I think the project timelines definitely depends upon each retailer and the project scope, but at least for us, it was around a 12 to 14 months of engagement. So as we was a delivery partner from the right day one, so we were involved in all the phases of the project. So right from the project planning until hypercare, and also the support phase for the brief period of time, as I said. So it was an overall like 12 to 14 months of engagement before we wind it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can add to that to say that I think, having that upfront planning time was really helpful to get the project going. So definitely including in your engagement all that time is important.
Awesome. All right. And then I think this one is probably good for you both as well, Prasad and Linda. What are the recommendations that you would give to any customers that are looking to move to SAP car?
I can start off.
Sure.
Okay.
So by now, I think most of the folks in retail industry, they are aware of what SAP car has, right? So it has got built-in functionalities that comes with out of the box. But as an implementation partner, it is a responsibility for us to keep the solution ready for scalability and innovations. One of the key recommendations is the involvement of teams from the day one. Since car sits in the middle of your landscape and it is data intensive, I would say like it sends data and receives data from multiple integration points, like point of sales, e-commerce, or any third-party planning systems or third-party vendor systems, right? So when you start off your engagement, it is very critical for you to identify all the teams involved and gather all the pieces of information, and because they have a say in all those decision process. So it's always recommended to have your all the teams involved before you put a solution there. So, and also educate the business and IT teams the possibilities of car, because they need to know not just this project, not just assignment, right? So they need to know what they can really build up on the foundation which we give. And last but not least, of course, the testing part. I know we do for every project, but especially for a project like Fast DTA or car, um, the testing is a real key piece where you need to have a real control on it. So be it scenarios like if you have like 50 scenarios of sales or 20 scenarios of discount or loyalty, don't just overlook them. Okay, test all the scenarios possible and before you move to the production or go live. Linda, you can add your points, anything about rollout strategy or something here.
Yeah, I think recommendations that I would have at the beginning of the project. So when you are planning and you're getting, you know you're going to kick off a car effort, and especially if you're, especially if you're moving from another system altogether, I would definitely take the time even before your consulting firm starts with you to spend some time validating your, the diagrams and documentation that you have of your existing systems. It's much better to have that available when the project kicks off, so that there's something, right away for your consulting firm to review and build from, as opposed to trying to really quick document it at the time. And I would say 100%, I would spend time, and this especially goes for retailers, think through what the rollout plan is going to be. Of course, these are all your sales. This is going, it's posting to your financials. It's not something to be taken lightly. The rollout and cutover, it's absolutely critical that it is done correctly and it's right the first time in production. So one of the things that we did, and was really important to us from the beginning, is we did not want to have any kind of big bang cutover where, on Sunday we were on one in our POS-DM environment, and on Tuesday, it's Monday or Tuesday, we were on our POS-DTA. So we really spent the time with GroupSoft talking through that and how we wanted to roll out, really to start to go live with just one store. So it requires some coordination. It requires some planning on when you want to do that, but it's definitely worth it. So, for us, we spent the time in parallel, and that gave us a great feeling that, hey, this is, we're good. We've found the issues. We feel good, but yet we still were not willing to turn it on in a big bang manner. So what we did was we started with one store. We, evaluated all that data, the business, evaluated that data for that store, looked to make sure everything was good, see if there's any tweaks. For anybody out there that's in retail, especially in the in the fresh food area, things can be different. There can be different product offerings, things like that, depending on where in the country you are. So we wanted to, although we felt good at a high level that things were matching up, we wanted to really start to look at individual stores and roll out that way. It didn't take a long time. I would say from the time we turned the first store on until we did the full chain, it was maybe, what was it, Prasad, like 2.5 weeks?
Right.
So it was not, it wasn't long and drawn out,
Yes.
but it was really valuable. So I would highly recommend to anybody that's considering this to plan for that trickle or staggered rollout for your retail stores.
Great. Thank you. And I know there are a few questions that I just don't think time will allow us to get to now. But like I mentioned, we will go ahead and share those responses to everyone via email, so everyone will be able to see those. Arjun, if there was anything that you would like to add before we close.
I know that, no, thank you so much, Linda. It is always an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and it is just a lovely partnership we had with you. And thank you for your insightful discussion. I know we have a few more questions, and I think, like Angela said, we'll respond back to them by email so that everyone has a response there. But thank you so much, Linda, and thanks, Prasad. Thank you, Angela,
Of
for
course.
everything.
Yes. And again, just to reiterate, thank you everyone, to our speakers and to our audience today for being here. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out. If you do have any additional questions about GroupSoft or working with us, I think there she is, Cynthia is available for any questions that you may have. Her information is up on the screen now. Please feel free to go ahead and screenshot that. You can also visit us on our website at groupsoftus.com or actually visit us at NRF. We will be at NRF this coming week at booth number 4324. So we'd love to see everyone in person. And again, today's webinar has been recorded. That will be shared today along with the responses to those questions we weren't able to get to. And thank you all again for joining us. We will see you the next time around.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.